G'day everyone. Welcome to the Poker Pulse podcast, episode 10. I'm Craig Abernethy, founder of the Australian Poker Schedule website. It's a website where you can find all of the poker series coming up around Australia, as well as Australian poker news, major results from our players at home and overseas. We actually shared a few results recently over in Taiwan, where Jennifer Castle took down the Zodiac Dog Trophy, and Dylan took down a huge Zodiac Dragon super high roller for around 70k. So congratulations to both of them. You would have seen that posted on our socials. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Some of our regular segments. We've got Maiden Winners. We've got the perfect pairs segment, which I hit last time. We had Lachlan Crilly and Nathaniel debut that for us last time, and it was plenty of fun. So today's perfect pairs will feature our special guest, who we'll introduce shortly, and a good mate of his. We've also got a Poker Pulse Special Investigation Unit segment where we talk about a hot topic over the last week. Obviously, there was some cheating allegations up at the Ville. I have a feeling that could be a bit heated. A few strong opinions from some of the panel here. There's a new poker room launching in Melbourne. But first, I just want to check in with my special co-hosts. We've got Catherine Young, poker dealer, poker player, podcaster. How are you, Cathy?
Good to see you again, Craig. Should be a great episode. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, good to hear. And Troy, how are you? You've just woken up, have you?
Yeah, just had a big online session and I'm here.
Troy, of course, is our resident poker pro, both live and online, and he occasionally streams on Twitch under 5Bet Bluff, so you can follow him on Twitch and on Instagram. So it's been a few busy weeks in poker. As I said, there was some cheating allegations, the star situations all over the media. Cyclone Alfred came and hit the Gold Coast, so that was interesting and a bit scary at some stages there. But there's been plenty of poker. Poker was up at the Ville. Kings had a series. There was another series down at the winery in South Australia. And the WPT Prime has kicked off at the Gold Coast Star after Cyclone Alfred left. That's taken shape now, and we've already had a few winners there, and the main event for that starts on Friday. So that will be good. I also wanted to shout out to Gambia and Yol Poker. They hosted a SA versus Vic State Champs showdown. Did you see that, Troy?
Yeah, I did. A few mates were playing in it.
Yeah, did you see that one, Cathy, as well? You see that?
Yeah. I've got a few friends on Facebook who are posting their results, so it looked quite interesting. It's
an interesting format down there. Yeah, they have 18 teams, and they sort of play down to when they get to heads up. It's very top heavy. There was 30k for first, I think 5k for second, and nothing for third. It's just a teams event. SA South Australia, they got the win. I believe they'd hadn't won for a few years, and it was good to see them the win. But yeah, it's really, really interesting. I like to see the regional towns down there have some big events. They all support it. A lot of country hospitality, grassroots poker, and they even streamed it. So it was good to see that. Plenty of beers and palmies as well. So that was good stuff. But yeah, so I won't keep our guest hanging any longer. I'll bring him in now. That's Josh Foster. How are you, Josh?
Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, you were actually nominated by one of our podcast listeners. Do you know Matt Grimer?
Yes, I do. I do know Matt, yep.
I believe Matt saw the Perfect Pairs segment, and he thought you and Daniel Dessmann would be a good pair to do that. Hence, we've got you on, and I caught up with Daniel a bit earlier too, so we'll do that a little bit later. But welcome to the podcast. You're another Victorian. You're a poker professional, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I my main source of income isn't from playing poker, but it is definitely I would consider it more of a recreation now, but something that I do spend more time doing than really anything else. So, yep.
And you also do some poker coaching, which is interesting. How's that all going?
Yeah, really good. Over the last, I've kind of done poker coaching on and off ever since I really started playing, 15, 16 years ago. I always felt like I had a good ability to be able to relay some pretty complex strategy and make it sound pretty simplistic for other people that aren't really aware of how poker is meant to be played. So I've kind of just made that more of a professional sort of sense over the last, 6 to 12 months, taken on a lot of new people, and it's really good to see them get better and get results and all that kind of stuff. Kind of feels like you're a part of it, even if you're not really making any extra money from it. So, yeah.
Just with the coaching, like so with poker coaching, a lot of it is that's exactly that. Like there's a lot of complex theory and that, and it just takes someone to be able to simplify that and put it in practice so that you can best use it.
Yeah, it is, and I'm a really big advocate for sort of live feedback when somebody's playing. So I always really try and push the guys to, if they are playing in whatever format they're playing, whether it's a cash game or a tournament, whether it's high stakes or low stakes, when they do want some live feedback to send through any questions they've got at the time. Sometimes there's some intangibles that happen during a poker hand that are easily forgotten after the fact. So sometimes it's best to get that feedback straight away and give the guys some positive feedback while they are playing. If there's something more critical that needs to come from it, that'll typically come after the fact. But while they're playing, just trying to give them some positive feedback at the time.
And is most of your coaching done like remotely, like over Skype or?
Yeah, so Skype, Zoom, Teams, predominantly one of those three platforms. I do typically like anyone that's based in Melbourne. I do typically like having the introductory session done in person. I can get a really good feel for somebody's personality type and the best way that they're going to learn the game by having that conversation in person initially. So yeah, but normally after that, most of the sessions are done remotely.
And has coaching sort of also improved your game? Because I always feel like when people teach what they're doing, they also sort of realize a few things themselves and they need to learn more so that they can teach more. Like, has that sort of helped you along the way?
Yeah, to be honest with you, that is a statement probably doesn't even do it enough justice. The amount that my game has improved from needing to give people feedback, needing to make sure that what I'm telling them is definitely correct, it's certainly helped my game a lot. Poker is very much about repetition from my perspective. So when you're teaching people at different levels really similar strategies, it makes it a lot easier for myself when I'm seeing these situations come up. So yeah, I think definitely 100%.
So basically, you said poker's not your main source of income. So how do you sort of manage poker in your life? Like what's your sort of lifestyle in terms of being able to have poker involved in it so that you can do it as an additional income?
Yeah, what's a day in the life of Josh Foster?
Yeah, cool. All right. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory to provide some context to what I'm going to describe my life looks like right now. So when I started playing poker a long time ago, when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, I used to play with my nunna, which is my grandma from my mum's side, and we used to play 5-card draw. So I'd go to her house 3 times a week. We'd play for a couple of bucks, and she was competitive. I was competitive. I didn't like losing. She knew a hell of a lot more about the game than I did. So the progression effectively started from there of me wanting to get better at something that was very competitive, something that wasn't physical. I've always liked the idea of sort of mind sports over physical sports, even though I do play some physical sports as well. I like the idea of being able to outwit and out-strategize somebody else. And that started at a very young age. I come from a background of both sides being quite risky sort of people as far as when gambling comes into it. My dad's side, he's owned horses. He's been in casinos, he's owned pubs, so kind of always been in that environment. Same on my mum's side. So obviously with my grandma teaching me how to play cards for money at a young age.
With a name like Foster, you're related to the beer Fosters? Is that your dad's?
No.
Nice one.
If I had a direct relation to the Fosters, I'd probably be overplaying in the Tritons right now, I'd say.
That's very fair.
I provided that backstory to say that as that progression grew, I really wanted to take poker more seriously as I became legally able to do it in a casino. So from about the age of sort of 18 or 19 till about 21 or 22, I was playing online poker full time. I did this with a roommate at the time. His name was Dean Schneider. Back sort of 10, 12 years ago, Dean was somebody that was very new to poker. He was effectively my first student, if you will, for poker coaching. And he really grew into being a super successful online poker player. So effectively the way that it worked when we lived together was we both put in all of our money and we effectively just went 50-50 on everything that we played. So whether that was online, whether that was live, it was a really, like, without knowing all of the fancy terms nowadays about like sort of bankroll management and wanting to manage the variance in poker tournaments, that was kind of the way that I intuitively thought that it could work. I thought that we were both beating the fields most of the time that we were playing. So to have both of us playing in as many tournaments as we can and sharing one effective big bankroll, I felt like that was the best way to do it.
I like that strategy, actually. I think that people are doing it in a very, very, very minute way where they're like swapping action with their friends. But I actually think that is it's intuitive, and I like it actually a lot.
I think in terms of coaching,
I hope you were doing that for the APL Millions Centurion.
Yes, I was. I was lucky enough to have a reasonable piece of Dean when he did well in that.
Very nice.
Yeah, I was going to mention that Dean, of course. And to be fair, I didn't really know the name Dean Schneider until he'd won that. I'm sure being in Melbourne player, a lot of Melbourne players would have known him, but we hadn't seen him travel around much or whatever. And that obviously a huge win for him. So yeah, he sort of made a name for himself just that. With poker coaching too, I think it's something that's just not in enough poker coaching courses, and that is the financial aspect of it. I think that's really easily glossed over, and that should be almost in the first chapter of any poker book, really, or any poker course. Is at the end of the day, there is some gambling involved, right? So it's the goal is to get good at poker so that you can be better at it and make money in the game. But because money's involved, you've got to know how to manage that. So what you're saying, I think that should be emphasised in all poker coaching.
Bankroll management, that is a really important factor. I always try and touch on all of those things that have nothing to do with the two cards that you're dealt and then the action that takes place after that. I always try and deal with those first. So things like the emotional side of the game, bankroll management, game selection, these are all really, really important factors that essentially have nothing to do with actually how to play poker. So I do like making sure that I am on the same page as the people that I'm coaching from that aspect of it before I do touch on the theoretical side of the game.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because those things alone, they make you a lot of money even without getting into the theory stuff before that. If you're not in the right mindset, you're not confident, you're not staked for something, you're just giving up your money straight away, I think. So, yeah, very good advice.
Are you still playing as much online today, or is it predominantly more live? Because I know I've seen you in a lot of live fields, and if you're not playing as often, like where are you mainly spending your time?
Yeah, so I don't. To say that I don't play online wouldn't be fair. I occasionally flick in a Monday morning session. It looks very degenerative when I do. It's normally me max late regging like a 1K tournament or a couple of 1K tournaments. And if I bust in the first like half an hour, I kind of just go about my day like it didn't really happen. When I was playing full time online, yeah, sorry, I'm just being honest, right? When I was playing online and doing it for a living, we had a really structured routine. We were getting up at 3:30 every morning. We would make sure that we were active and really conscious before starting an online session. Those sessions would last anywhere between sort of 8 to 10 hours, and we were doing that 5, 6, 7 days a week. So having lived through that for a couple of year period, there was definitely some significant burnout to playing online poker. So when I do venture back and very occasionally play a tournament online, it's not done in a very professional way, I wouldn't say. And it's definitely not something that I would advocate for other people to do if they're trying to make a lot of money from playing online. You would need to be far more structured than I am when I decide to do it. So yeah, back in the day, played online full time with Dean. Then I met my now wife after that period when I was playing full time. She had never really seen gambling before, definitely not to the level that I was gambling every single day. So I was buying into tournaments online for anywhere between sort of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on a daily basis, and then sort of 10 to 15 on a Monday morning. When I would have a bad day and lose $5,000 or $10,000, it was very difficult for her to comprehend how that works, because that's 3 months worth of work, 4 months worth of work, 5 months worth of work in the real world. So I pretty quickly realized that that volatility and that variance is probably not going to be a great option if you want to have a long-term relationship. So I started to, even though I was still playing a lot, I started to invest in my own time to potentially do something else outside of poker to be able to make a stable income. And that transition period really helped me a lot separate away from poker and the poker community. Not that there's anything wrong with the game or with the community, but it is a bit of a vacuum, and you don't really want to get stuck just in a poker vacuum, I don't think. So I ended up getting a job that I really like. It's in the hospitality industry. So I'm a business manager. I help gaming venues essentially be able to make more money in really simplistic terms. There's a lot of data that gets analyzed. There's a lot of strategy that goes into it. My time is spent typically with general managers or boards of these venues to ensure that their profit and sustainability is strong. So that is my day-to-day role. My role I'm able to do remotely. I've been doing it for 7 or 8 years now, so I'm very comfortable with my role. So when I want to travel to play poker, I can do it pretty freely. But work for me is definitely the first source of income, and then poker comes second, only because of the variance that's involved with it.
Do you have any other hobbies, or is your time so spaced out between work and poker?
Good question. So my life is very, very full. So I play football, AFL football, down here in Victoria. So I train twice a week and then play a game on a Saturday. This has always been a priority for me, not only for the physical side of it, but it keeps me in a good mental space. Going out and doing physical activity, being in a community environment like a football club, it provides something different that nothing else in my life does. So I've always really made that a priority, no matter what was happening. If there was a big tournament on like the APL Million, it normally clashes with my football finals. So the last few years, even though I've gone to the APL Million, I've ended up just playing the Centurion or the 5K or the Jack Stars, and then unfortunately I end up actually missing the main event. The way that I get into it is typically by just buying a bunch of pieces, even if they're small pieces, in a lot of different players. So I can still sort of sweat the action, even though I'm down here in Melbourne getting ready for a football final.
And so we've got a segment that we like to do called Perfect Pairs. As I said, Matt Greenman nominated yourself and Daniel to do this. So tell us a bit about Daniel. How do you know him, and what's the story with you two?
All right. Let me tell you how I first met Daniel. So he is a year or two younger than I am. He came walking through the Crown Casino when he was 18 years old, a very fresh 18 years old. And he walked past the poker room. I was sitting on the final table with cap on backwards, gripped out in G-Star Raw, thinking I was the hottest thing in the room, and my feet up on the table. We were three-handed in what was called the Anzac Day Cup. And I just kept shoving all in every single hand on these two people because they literally couldn't play because I had all the chips. When I looked up, he was standing on the rail looking at me, and I could already tell. I'd never met this person before, but I already could tell that we were probably going to have a friendship just because of the way that we were interacting with each other after that point. So that was the first time we ever met. About 2 weeks later, we were playing in a local poker game, and we found that we lived one street apart from each other. So it was a really, really crazy turn of events to how we actually met, and then we've effectively been best friends ever since.
It's so weird how the universe works like that.
Very strange.
We're going to do our Perfect Pair segment now. The first question we asked Daniel was, when is your birthday?
My birthday is the 6th of March.
6th of March. So we're looking for the 6th of March. When is Josh's birthday?
Fuck, 6th of March.
6th of March?
I'm going to go with the 6th of March.
He
got it.
He nailed it.
He got it?
That's good.
Yeah, he did. The next question I asked Daniel was if he had any pet names or nicknames for you. What would he say there?
I mean, he could only say Foz, I guess, but I don't even think he really calls me that. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, we're looking for Foz. Do you have any pet names for Josh? Any good mates names, nicknames, stuff like that you call him?
Fuck.
Or you just call him Josh?
Foz, I guess. Foz.
2 for 2.
Spot on.
Very good, Daniel.
So the next question I asked Daniel is if he knew if you had any pets or what their names were if you did.
Yeah, so I have 2 pets. Yeah, I have 2 pets, 2 cats. Their names are Cupcake and Donut, named by my 9-year-old daughter. And I would think that he would probably know this. He may not know the names, but he'll know that I have cats, surely.
Okay, we're looking for Cupcake and Donut.
Not at the minute. Oh, he's got a cat.
He's got his cat. What's his cat name?
Donut.
Hey, what is it?
Donut.
Donut.
It's more Emma's and his daughter's, but we'll go with that.
Okay, beautiful.
Oh, he only got one of them. No cupcake.
Is that half right?
Yeah, we'll give you a half a point for that one. Yeah, you definitely got that one. Okay. The next question that we asked Daniel was, do you have any weird or quirky behaviors? Not specifically for poker, just like in life. If you'd say, what would you say it's weird about, something weird that you do?
Something weird that I do.
I'm not going to give you any hints because it'll give it away. But if you don't have to out yourself for anything weird that you know. We'll just wanted to see what he said. Or do you want to have a guess or?
Yeah, I'll have a guess. So I think that maybe, like, I don't know if this is like a weird thing, but I'm very, very messy. So maybe he said that I'm like really messy because we room together a lot and he absolutely hates it. So things like when he hears, which doesn't happen, but when he hears like me brushing my teeth, he'll come running in to make sure that it's not his toothbrush, stuff like that.
No.
All right, looking for messy, or if he mentions checking you're not using his toothbrush, I guess. Does Josh have any quirky behaviors or weird habits that he does at poker or anything like that?
At poker, no. But
superstitious or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, he's all about that sort of shit. But he's very weird with, if you want to go outside of poker and you go to food, he'll pick it up pretty quickly. He always leaves food on his plate. He'll never finish a plate.
Really?
It's the weirdest fucking thing in the world. It doesn't matter what it is, he'll leave something. His mum taught him from a young age that you have to leave food for the angels.
You have to leave something on your plate.
Yeah, so when I was little, I would never finish my meal. Don't ask me why. It's not something that I consciously do, but my mum would always say to me, I'm leaving food for the angels, and I don't even really know what that means. But yeah, that's really interesting that that he knows that, and that is something that I definitely do.
But I guess it proves that you hang out a lot because, you know, if you've only seen you do it once, you wouldn't make anything of it, really. So you must do it all the time.
I do, yeah. I don't ever finish a full meal, even when I'm really hungry, and it's a bit of a subconscious thing rather than a conscious thing.
It's really interesting. Speaking of food, we asked Daniel how he would rate your cooking out of 10. What do you reckon his answer for that was?
Terrible. He'll say like something really low, maybe like a 2 or a 3, I would say.
Okay, we're looking for just low, anything low. Speaking of food, what would you rate his cooking? Has he ever cooked for you, like when you stayed?
Absolute garbage.
Garbage? 0 out of 10?
0 out of 10.
He's already nailed it.
Yeah, I knew that he wouldn't think my cooking was very good. I send him photos of the pasta that I make, and he's disgusted every time.
How do you mess up pasta? It's pasta.
I don't. It tastes great. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a 10 out of 10. But
Yeah, I mean, particularly
Don't
pasta.
worry,
You
because I
mentioned
can't cook either.
you mentioned you have a nonna, so that comes from like a pasta nation.
Exactly. Like my background is Maltese, Daniel's is Italian, so there's always a little bit of European rivalry from across the Mediterranean. So I think my pasta's better. He thinks his pasta's better. I know mine is, so that's okay.
All right. The next question I asked Daniel was what type of aftershave or cologne you wear.
Oh, I don't even know the name of it. I just know that it's a little grenade. I don't know what it's called though.
Is that what is it? Hang on. Diesel?
Hold on, give me 1 sec.
G-Star Raw?
Grenade aftershave.
Have you just been using the same one your whole life? You're like, yep, this is a cool little bottle. I'm just gonna.
Victor and Rolf. No, I haven't been using it my whole life. I only started using it once when Daniel had it at one of the trips, and I was like, "That smells amazing," so I'm going to steal it. And then I've worn it ever since. And
cologne. I know you're both wearing the same cologne.
No, he thinks he's real. He thinks he's real fashionable and real sharp. So he always wears different stuff and puts different cologne on. I'm real simple. I wear the same stuff all the time. So,
what was it called?
Victor and Rolf. I don't know whether he'll say that though, because he'll be annoyed that I stole it.
All right, we're looking for a grenade-shaped thing or Victor and Rolf. What sort of aftershave or cologne he wears?
He'd go with a Ralph Lauren blue, I reckon.
Ralph Lauren blue? All right.
Or whatever I'm running. He'll try and steal my stuff, to be honest. I'm a bit of a connoisseur when it comes to that shit. And he usually picks up whatever I've got and says, oh, this fucking smells awesome, and starts spraying everywhere. So.
That's awesome.
Spot on. Damn, he knows you well.
Yeah.
So he's right. And the only reason that he didn't say that brand is because he doesn't want other people to wear it, I'm sure.
He's out of it. I love it.
As I mentioned, I've got I've got Simon Wahesh staying with us at the moment, and he loves his hairdryer, so we have to make sure there's a hairdryer for him when he comes here.
Simon's the king. He's like one of the top 5 people that I know in poker, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll put that in the podcast. Straight out.
Definitely better cut that one out.
Yeah,
Sorry, keep it in.
No, he was telling me, how's this? He sits down on the poker table yesterday at the Star, and Illa.
Yeah.
He goes, I saw your nipple on the podcast because on one of our podcasts, he was staying at Troy's house, and I cut it in where he came in. He's like, "Oh, is this on? Is this on? Are you live?" and he's got no shirt on. And he's in Troy's background. So Illa said he saw his nipple on the podcast. Another question we asked Daniel was, "What was your most memorable or favourite win or score in poker?"
I'll just guess Adelaide. He wasn't there for it, and nobody else really was, so that was a little bit disappointing. So if he knows me well enough, he may not say that, but I'm just going to say Adelaide.
All right, let's see what he said. What would you say Josh's most memorable win or score would be, or what would he say it would be? He said he had a couple recently, but I don't know if that'd be it. I think he won a Centurion at Albury.
Yeah, I came third to him in that. That was fun. I'm going to go with the WPT.
WPT. Where was that at? Star?
Gold Coast, yeah.
Gold Coast, yeah. Sweet. There you go. He said the Star. So it turns out you probably, when you've won a lot of tournaments or whatever, that's always going to be a hard, raffle question, that one. So
yeah, that's the one I was going to say because he had a decent slice of that, and he was happier that I won 140K more than I was. So.
Yeah, having a slice or a piece is always makes things more memorable for some. So thanks for doing that.
No worries. Yeah, it does, especially when you're good friends. That's a little extra bonus, even though you are hoping that they do well. It's always nice to get a little bit off it as well.
I would say you guys really are the perfect pair. I don't know if I didn't know anything about you.
Yeah, I'm very happy that he managed to get the majority of those right. I would have been disappointed if he didn't.
I think he got pretty much all of them right, didn't he? There was only one that he got half. The
You left out one of your little cats.
Yeah. All right. Well, as I mentioned at the start of the show, has been a busy week in poker, and there was some interesting reports and stuff that came out of the Ville series. So I just wanted to have a quick discussion about that.
Across all forms of poker, chip theft and cheating are considered especially egregious. Across Australia's iconic cities and outback towns, the dedicated podcast personalities who investigate these schemes form a specialized team known as the Poker Pulse Investigations Unit. These are their stories.
Yeah, so there was some concerning or negative reports coming out of the Ville series in relation to the APT ambassador, Jade Mitchell, actually. Something I think that, we just have to mention on the podcast. It's something that happened, something pretty big in Australian poker. And, I was trying to get Jade on the podcast, actually, so she could give some sort of explanations and answer a few questions. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to do that. I can understand it's pretty difficult situation for her and obviously stressful. So I didn't want to, have her on unless she was 100% sure she wanted to do it. So, she eventually decided not to do it, and that's fine. We have seen a statement released by Jade, and I believe everyone has sort of read that. What sort of happened is there was two actual events that happened. So the first one, just to really summarize it, there was chips that were taken from another player's stack. He got back to the table and they weren't there. He obviously noticed they weren't there, and then they investigated what happened. They actually went to CCTV footage at the Ville, and somehow or other the chips ended up in Jade's rack or stack, and it was all fixed up and play then continued. And then the second one was the following night in a bounty tournament. Apparently Jade was four-handed with three others. She was under the gun or first to act. She went all in, moved her chip forward when she got asked for a count by the other player. Being a bounty tournament, chip stacks are relevant, so you may not call, or depending on if you cover or not. The other players saw the stack and realised that they covered the stack, and they called. The other two people in the hand folded. Jade's hand ended up winning, and then a bit of stuff unfolded where they counted the stack again. The dealer, was a newish sort of dealer and struggling a bit and under pressure, and that can be frustrating as a player. So the stack, wasn't sort of, suggested it wasn't counted correctly or whatever. And then on checking it, Jade said that she actually had the other stack covered, and there was some more chips found. I think Jade said she had, put more chips into the pot. Said, no, you haven't counted these ones. So, yeah, there was a bit of a kerfuffle about that. And once again, they went to the cameras, and it was found that the stacks were in fact counted correctly. It was just they were stacked in a different way, so it sort of confused everyone. But, yeah, what ended up happening was the actual result was corrected, so Jade didn't have the player covered. The chips weren't Jade's, the extra ones, and the other player remained in the tournament, although short. And once again, they played on. Jade finished third in that tournament. That's sort of, in a nutshell, what has come out and based on Jade's statement as well. Like, I'm not going to sort of, I heard this or someone said that or whatever. That's basically how it was stated in Jade's thing as well, with a few other details that, are relevant. But what sort of people are saying, I guess, particularly looking at the comments and on Jade's Facebook statement was, mistakes happen. Jade's obviously very well known in the poker community. She's of a good character. She's a friend of mine, and you're very good friends with her too, aren't you, Cathy?
Yeah, Jade, I think it's really good that people are realizing her character in this and taking into account her character and taking into account that, a mistake clearly happened, and it's just a real pity and coincidence and annoying situation where it happened 2 nights in a row. And so because it happened 2 nights in a row, everyone's just kind of like, that's what kind of raised the biggest flag there. But obviously, while she was there, the security footage was looked at, and she did get a 3-month ban, but she's taken that very, very well, and she's acknowledged her mistakes. And I think it's really good that she put out that statement so that she wasn't trying to hide from it or in any way try to say, say it didn't happen or that she wasn't doing it, because she made the mistake. But I think it's a matter of taking into account her character and whether it was cheating or the mistake. And I think that that's really good that people are realizing that it was more just to do with the mistake.
Yeah. Before I ask the other guys to comment though, yeah, look, I mean, obviously Jade's, I've known Jade for at least 4 or 5 years that she's sort of been in poker. She started playing around 2020, I think, and she's been very successful in poker. If someone had ever, been accused of cheating in the past, you'd think you would have heard stuff being said. And I've never ever heard anyone say anything like that about Jade before. So as a friend of Jade, I personally believe she deserves to have a ban. Like, it's a mistake that you've made, but you've got to pay. Mistakes have consequences, even if unintentional. Jade obviously says it was unintentional. That's good enough for me, but it wouldn't be good enough for many. I understand that. So what other sort of people are saying is, yeah, she's been caught, taking chips 2 days in a row. It was on CCTV footage, as she said in her statement, and it shows what happened. As far as I know, that CCTV footage hasn't been released, and I doubt it ever will be. Security teams, and you're probably never ever going to release that unless something sort of goes to court, which I hope this certainly doesn't. I really hope this sort of it will be talked about and everything for a while.
I think it's important to know that Jade asked to see the CCTV footage on the second incident.
Yeah, she says that in her statement.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to reiterate that part where it's actually that needs to be known, that it's quite, if I was trying to get away with something, I don't know if I would ask to go see the CCTV.
I'm a bit surprised that Jade isn't sort of, demanding that CCTV footage, isn't released if she wants to prove innocence there too. A few people are saying Jade's ban's a joke. It's not long enough. And, obviously the stuff I just can't get behind at all is people making sort of memes and nasty sort of jokes about it. In that sort of way, unless there's 100% proof that there was malice in it, and I can't see how there can be proven that there was malice in it. Sure, there's lots of questions. I mean, there's consequences, so there needs to be punishment and a ban. I initially thought to myself, probably a 12-month ban, or 6 months as a minimum. 3 months does seem a bit light, but look, she had a meeting with them. She said in her statement, they all agree and they've made the decision. So you guys respect the umpire's decision. I want to let you guys just ask you guys are pros. What do you guys think about it? Troy, do you want to have something to say about it? Or?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of I mean, I can't see any reason that Jade would intentionally cheat in $120 buy-in. So don't get me wrong, I don't think that the punishment kind of fits the what's happened really. I had a bit of a chat with a couple of mates in a group chat that I'm in, and something similar what has happened in the World Series or something like that, and the person got a life ban or something, or at least a year ban. So, I mean, I think personally, if I found out someone was cheating or has what's happened, I think that 3 months is a bit of a cop-out, really. I think it should be at least 6 months to a year. I've heard of people getting banned for longer than 3 months for doing a lot less than stealing chips or taking chips, or even if it was a mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, clearly the 3 months was decided at that meeting, and that obviously would have had a lot to do with Jade being there and her character, squeaky clean record, and no one has ever said anything like that in the past. Did you want to add anything to it, Josh, or have an input?
I guess from my perspective, it's always very difficult to comment on something that you're not there to see yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Yeah, for where it's at right now, I don't really think the APL, correct me if I'm wrong, have released anything other than us knowing that there's a 3-month ban. Clearly, Jade, as you would expect her to, I'm not saying there was any malice in it, but if there was some malice and it was deliberate, I would expect somebody to come out and defend themselves anyway. So it's all very grey from my perspective. Unless I was there and saw it myself, I think it would be really difficult to give a firm opinion on it. The only thing I would say is the integrity within poker is very, very important. This is why I really like playing games that have a dealer, that have a tournament director, that are held in licensed venues so that these kind of things don't happen. I think that 3 months is a very strange amount of time. I do know that you mentioned that there was a mistake that was made, so there needs to be a punishment for that. But from my perspective, this one feels really black and white. Either you see the footage and you think it was deliberate and there should be a ban given for that, or you saw the footage and you couldn't conclusively say that something was done deliberately, and then there's no ban. I don't think 3 months. I don't think 3 months is appropriate either way. Whether they thought that it was deliberate or wasn't, 3 months just doesn't make sense to me.
How do
Yeah,
you
I take your point.
determine deliberateness? Because it's kind of like, you know, like she took chips, but how do you determine whether she was like, oh, I'm gonna?
Well, I mean, just to sort of, you know, bring it to the extremes, you know, if chips fell loosely on a table and nobody knew whose they were, then you pick up chips by accident that aren't yours because no one's sure. But then if
being
chips are
on her
sitting there,
phone,
if chips are
distracted.
specifically in someone else's position, like there's a few points that I just want to make about this because I sort of don't want to go too deep into it, but I want to bring a positive sort of spin on this to learn from it. And Josh mentioned a couple there too, particularly about he likes being in a venue with, you know, licensed TDs and whatever. From a player's point of view, I like integrity as well. And when you watch football or cricket or whatever, you know, the umpire or the referee is paid to do a job and to keep their eye on the game, right? I think it's just important, it's just a wake-up call that, you know, you've really got to keep your eye on everything because you're the official in charge. And if you know, as a TD should be watching the game, then you're not going to, you know, do anything like that. And if there's any queries of any chips that aren't, you know, accounted for, the TD is going to go, hang on, where are those chips? What are those chips there, right? And I know that's happened in many of the games that I've played quite a few times. You're playing poker and there's chips in between you and opponent. Quite often it's changed from a bet or a blind or whatever that the dealer's pushed back and you haven't noticed, but you see chips there and you go, are these your chips or my chips? Like you publicly state, hang on, these chips don't belong there. Whose are they? You don't just sort of, you know, I can't imagine I'd never just grabbed them in hoping that they were mine and hope no one noticed. You know, you just ask the question. And if
Well,
a TD's...
That also goes on to, like, if I've come back from a break and I had an extra big blind, I would kind of pick that up as well. Like, to have someone else's stack in my chip stack, I think I would notice and I'd know that something's not right with what's happened. Also, if
Yes,
that makes
certainly as a pro and someone very experienced. Jade's obviously very experienced. You know, do you coach people about that, Josh? You know, like to take photos of their stacks and all that sort of stuff. You know, like you obviously teach them to be stack aware so they can play the correct strategy.
Yeah, for sure. Not only for this example specifically, but when there's color races that are done on the breaks and things like this, things can go wrong.
Yeah,
they
very
could
good point.
accidentally take chips. They could put extra chips on. I'm always very conscious of my stack. I'm always very conscious of everybody else's stack, and I always encourage everybody that I'm coaching to do the same. It's very, very important.
Yeah, look, I don't really have much more to say on that. As I said, look, the thing we can learn about it is, you know, people need to be aware of this stuff because even if it's accidental, if you take someone's chips, it's not going to look good on cameras. And particularly if you're in a casino, if you're sitting on, I don't know, let's just say Mississippi poker or 3-card poker or blackjack or whatever, and you're sitting there and even if you're intoxicated or you're talking to someone else and you grab someone else's chips accidentally, a casino is not going to see that as accidental. You know, they're going to ban you pretty quickly. Yeah, and the penalty will be very severe, whether it's life or whatever, I don't know. But I don't want Jade to be wiped out of the game. I believe there should be a punishment, but as I said, it's grey. You haven't been there, haven't seen it. So she's got that. She had a meeting with APL, who's, you know, had some respected people in that meeting. They've come to a decision. You've got to respect that decision. There is another topic that actually we really appreciate our feedback that we get on the show, and there was a question that we had from a viewer, and that was related to the US World Series of Poker circuit event that Maurice Hawkins won. And there was a situation where the guy busted in third, and he actually had the winning hand with a flush, but no one realised, except a poker reporter realised it and didn't say anything. And then it ended up playing on, and the guy busted, and then the poker reporter popped up later, and it caused this massive issue because, yeah, it's clearly this photo evidence that a guy had a flush and he wasn't awarded the pot. What do you guys think about that one?
I think it's such a weird situation again, because like, what do? Like, if the players and the dealer don't realize at the time the pot's awarded, then they can't really go back to what the stacks were. It's a really, really tough spot, I guess. I guess in an ideal world, that's what would happen. I guess they'd go back, count the stacks through the CCTV footage, and then play from where it was. But
What about?
I have a
go for it,
question.
sorry.
It's about the debate. I think the debate at the moment, and from what I'm reading, is actually nothing to do with that. It's actually the situation of, does the reporter have an obligation there to speak up if they've noticed the mistake then and there, or do they not? Like that's for me my biggest part there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about as well.
Seen something that I think is completely wrong, and like I'm not seeing anyone correct it. I'm not seeing anything happen. I'm not going to come back personally like hours later and be like, hey, I noticed this. I personally would speak up then and there, but I don't know if you're meant to. I don't know what the go is there, but I just love your thoughts on this about whether you should speak
I put
up.
it this way, and I wanted to ask Josh this because he mentioned earlier that he had a big piece of Dean Schneider in the Centurion, which was quite a lot of money. Now, if you're a rail, if you're watching one of your mates, you're railing them, you've got a piece of them, whatever, or whether if you don't, but they're just a mate and you want to see them win, and then a hand gets tabled, your friend wins, and you're watching it, he's clearly won the winning hand, and then he's not awarded the pot because of a mistake, you're going to speak up, right? And nothing in the world is going to stop me if I'm playing or if I'm watching a friend play and there's a hand come and he's made a flush and they award the pot because I don't see it. Like that's just not going to happen if I've seen it. Like I would not have the discipline to shut my mouth. I wouldn't.
Well,
you wouldn't either, would you?
Also, when you're at the poker table and like there's a straight on the board and someone goes all in and then the person like calls and then mucks their hand or something, it's like, well, if you're not in the hand, you're not going to say anything about the
No, you
pot.
should know the rules, right?
But that's different. That's different because the
it is different.
Has mucked their hand and they've chosen that road. But if cards have been tabled, the moment that cards are tabled, it's now the obligation of the dealer, the table, every single person who's seen those live cards to then make the correct determination of who won that hand. That's the difference. A muck card versus tabled cards, so different.
It's different because, like, if we're watching, let's just say we're watching the World Series poker from 1998 or whatever on ESPN, like a replay, and we see a mistake that no one's ever picked up, and it's just played on, like it is what it is. But at the time, if you see something, I mean, that's the issue, is this reporter has seen it, noted it, and then waited till the results finished and can't do anything. Yeah. And now he's blurbered up about it and got the proof. Like maybe, I don't know, I'm a bit cynical, but obviously this would make a great news story and get a lot of clicks if it happened. So I'm not sure if it was deliberate there. I don't know. Like, just I think if something happens and you see something like that, I agree. You got to be careful in terms of, you don't want to influence the game. If there's someone that's at a game that's inexperienced, you don't want to be coaching them what the winning hand is, to that point of view. But yeah, I think as a reporter, I guess
if it's all in and the cards have been tabled,
cards are tabled. Yeah. If cards are tabled like that, it's just, for me, you've got to speak up. Yeah.
I think that this is a two-part question. So the first one is the obligation on the table or the dealer or whoever when the cards get tabled. I've seen this happen 100 times in my poker playing career where cards get tabled. People don't realize that one hand is winning. People don't realize that one hand is chopping. This happens way more often than you would expect that it does. I'm always the first person to talk up when I see it, whether I'm in the pot, whether I'm losing the pot, whether I'm winning the pot. I have lots of instances where I will play a hand, somebody will make two pairs, somebody will make a flush. They don't realize that they've beaten me. And I'm happy to tell them that you have beaten me in this hand, even though you don't know it. So once the cards get tabled, I think there's an obligation on anybody that knows who the winning hand has for them to speak up. The second part to it, I want to add one extra thing to that. This is only an issue because it's come to light. I'm certain that in every single poker tournament that happens all over the world, this happens where somebody loses a hand that they should have won after the cards were tabled and nobody ever finds out about it. It's like a big tree that falls in the woods when no one's there. Nobody hears it. This is pretty much exactly the same thing. I would say that this happens all the time. We just don't know it, and nobody would actually know it. This has probably happened to somebody on numerous occasions, and they don't actually know that it's happened to them. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it, for that reporter, he definitely should have said something. Not saying something is ludicrous, especially if there was some intent to get some more clicks on his own post after it. That is really the integrity of the game goes out the window if somebody's doing that and they see it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's pretty simple for me. I mean,
I think it happens very frequently in like PLO tournaments and mixed game tournaments and stuff. But not so much Hold'em anymore because most people have a pretty solid grasp on hand rankings and all that. But yeah. So
we thank your question. That was one of our viewers, Savage Combat is his name. So we thank him for that question. So I change of pace. I'd like to get our In the Blender segment going for this week. I've changed it up a bit. This is in the Blender Stealing Edition. So I'll go through a sequence of questions, and if you don't know the answer, someone can steal it. Works basically the same way, except there's going to be a pattern with each of the answers. So I'm going to start you off, Cathy. You can go first. If you don't know the answer, one of the other guys can steal it, okay? So, Cathy, to start you off, Bert and Didier's team in the 1K Fantasy at the 2024 APL Million was called the Southport Sharks, okay? So now it's your turn. There's a game where you throw small, sharp projectiles at a circular board. That's called darts. Very good. Very good. See, now you're getting it, right? Okay. So a dessert that's made with pastry and can be both sweet or savory is... Any guesses, guys? Tarts. Very good, Troy. Okay. In poker, this is for you again, Cathy. In poker, reference and training tools, including visual data, are known as GTO or pre-flop. Charts. Very good. There's a Nintendo racing game featuring Mario, Luigi, and Bowser. Mario Kart. Yeah, very good. And sometimes a smelly release of gas from the human body originating from the stomach is from the stomach. It's a burp. So, right. Yeah, that's the whole point. You're meant to think it was going to be fart and jump in, but it wasn't. I like this. All right. Okay, Troy, I'm going to start you off now. You're the next one. Remember, guys, you can jump in, but give them a chance first. So, power or strength exerted upon an object is known as force. What is the legal termination of a marriage called?
Divorce.
Divorce. Very good. Very good. Something that is mainly green, contains sand and water with 18 holes is a golf
course.
Very good. An ancient Scandinavian people and their mythology are known as...
No.
Do you remember
you want to say the question again?
Ancient Scandinavian people and their mythology is known as... Do you know what the other answers rhymed with? It rhymes with force, course, divorce. I might have to buzz you here.
No?
Norse.
No?
Did you say Norse?
Yeah, Norse. Is it Norse?
Norse. It is Norse. Yeah, Norse.
That's a fake question.
Okay. We've got force, divorce, course, Norse. Mixed game poker rotates through 5 variants, including Texas Hold'em, Omaha High-Low, Raz, 7-card stud. 7-card stud high-low is known as
horse.
Very good. Very good.
How did you not know that straight away?
Well, I did, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to get done like you did.
made with tomatoes, vinegar, sugar, and a blend of spices used on fries and burgers is known as tomato
sauce.
No, ketchup. Because I said it contains vinegar. So, yeah, but definitely not tomato sauce. All right, Josh, your turn. To start you off, a kitchen utensil that you whisk eggs with is known as an egg beater. At a petrol station, you buy petrol by the
Liter.
litre. You say litre? Very good. If you have a large family, you might buy a Toyota Kluger, which is a 7-seater.
Liter.
Yeah, very good. If someone goes on a run of winning multiple poker tournaments in a short period, they are known to be on a
heater.
On a heater. Yep, very good. Very good.
Please, when was the last time I won a tournament?
Shout out to all the people on heaters at the moment. Amin Riazati, Sean Oy, Dylan Wayne. Good to see him back in the winner's circle. Jen Castle. She on a heater? Well, she had a tournament too. Anyway. So heater. In Game of Thrones, Tyrion Lannister was played by someone, surname Dinklage, first name
Peter.
Peter. Yep, you got him.
That was a guess.
And a big spotted African cat that drags its prey into trees to protect it from scavengers is a big spotted African cat.
Cheetah.
That's a leopard.
It's a leopard. Yeah.
Cheetahs don't drag their prey in a tree. They don't climb trees, apparently. That's what I read on National Geographic. So anyway. That was
very good.
I don't know.
I like that.
Kind of worked.
Yeah, I like that too. That was cool. It
was kind of different. Anyway, it's a bit quicker than the other way. That's right. We mentioned at the start of the show the Melbourne Poker Room. So that drew quite a bit of attention over the last couple of days. PlayLive Melbourne, I think they've renamed themselves too. A couple of years ago, 15 months ago, they announced that they were trying to start poker again in Melbourne, make poker great again in Melbourne. You see that, guys? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. If it all gets up and running, I think it'd be awesome. Anyone that's trying to promote poker and get more poker events in Victoria, I'm a huge advocate for. So, fingers crossed.
I think 15 months ago when I first saw it, I sort of asked you, asked a few of the guys in the group chat just to see if you knew any of the people behind it, and you said you did, and they're quite respected in the poker industry, and that sort of gave me the confidence to sort of talk about it. Yeah, so what did you think, Cathy?
I first heard about this, actually. I was dealing, and I was just hearing some chit chat on the table, and pretty sure it was just one of the guys. He was just bringing up that he was starting a room in Melbourne, and everyone on the table was really confused by it, and they didn't know how they were going to get around it. But the main thing that he kept bringing up was how much he was sick and tired of the service that Crown was offering. And it's really disappointing because Victoria is the only state where they feel like they can't open a poker room, or that nothing can be done to kind of, defeat this monopoly of Crown. And it's so good to hear people talking about that they're sick and tired of the service that Crown Poker is offering, and that even though because if no one's competing, the great thing about poker at the moment is there's so much competition, and competition breeds better games. It makes the games better for players. It means that the structures are better, that the rake is less, and that everyone's happy with a lot better of a service being provided. And I think that the fact that Melbourne has nothing else other than Crown is not fair to players, and I'm so glad that Crown will realise that there might actually be a successful room that's able to run now, and it could create some competition, which is what is needed in Melbourne at the moment. And if they're able to get this off the ground and successful, I am so excited for what's to come down there.
Yeah. What I just say on that is, you make a good point. I think WA is another state where it's pretty much impossible to run poker because they've got sort of similar laws as well. And I would say, like, Crown, yeah, you're right. Crown have been improving a lot. You'd agree with that, Troy, right? They have been improving since where they started. But I think having another room in there would actually get them on their toes to make sure.
Crown used to be like the mecca of Australian poker.
For sure.
Crown used to be what everyone inspired to be, really, before COVID. And then with the Aussie Millions and Vic Champs and all the poker series that they used to run, and they were all run absolutely perfect.
So there has been a bit of harsh criticism of Crown. I think it's based on what they used to be, where it used to be, comparing it to where they used to be. Yeah, it's still, got a long way to go. Although I have heard things, are improving there. These things can take time. But that room might speed it up. Your thoughts, Josh? You'd be excited about the new room or another place to play, being a local from Victoria?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's quite frustrating having to travel as much as I do to play in poker tournaments. Obviously, it's good that Crown have recently got their weekly tournaments back up, and they've run a couple of tournament series. They're continuing to improve, but having competition for them is something that I think the Victorian community has had a thirst for a long time, and nobody's really bit the bullet and tried to do it. I do poker coaching with a couple of Crown dealers, and I think they're as excited as anybody else. Obviously, they don't have the ability to play in these big tournaments locally in Victoria, not being able to go in and play at Crown. So having somewhere where they can go and play in a big tournament series, really exciting for them as well. So
actually, that's a really good point too. Obviously, if you work at a casino, you're not allowed to play there. So yeah, that would really frustrate them, particularly. And if they're students of yours, they're obviously going to know, be fairly keen and understand poker, pretty well. So if they see some of the stuff that they have to sort of do as an employee of the Crown, who's potentially, not doing things as well as other leagues, that would frustrate them too. Having to, enforce rules and things that sort of might not be common sense and that sort of stuff. So that would be frustrating as a casino employee too. But they can't really do much about it. They just have to, it's their job. So yeah, I wanted to just give them a shout out. We wish them all the best with that. Just quickly, some Maiden Winners that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Wanted to do one at the Star, actually. I saw this pop up very recently. Daniel Dessmann won the big bounty 680 buy-in there at the Star. He won the surfboard trophy. That's his first trophy. And to win a surfboard trophy, 15K, including bounties. Well done to him. One of our friends from the podcast, she was on the podcast up at the Ville last year, Hayley Chiplin. She's actually won a trophy in a teams event before, but this was her first individual trophy up at the Ville recently. She got $1,680 and entry into the 100K Invitational, which is cool. So well done, Hayley. Another one from the Ville, Adonis Hall is a railway worker from Rockhampton, from Rocky. He took down the NLH Mini High Roller, 450 buy-in, 87 entries, got 7.5K and entry to the 100K Invitational for that as well. So congratulations to Adonis. And then one more that was Troy actually alerted me to this a couple of weeks ago. Lady by the name of Debbie Haley. She won an event at Albury, APT there. I think it was the $100 closer, 42 entries. First prize there for $1,200. That's her first major trophy. I understand she's a bit of a crusher, the local Ballarat APL around that way. Deb, she's an older girl. I had the pleasure of meeting her and Greg when I was down at the APL 600 at Canterbury Helston Park. Cathy, you might have seen them or dealt to them down there. The stories and stuff that I was chatting to them were quite funny. I remember playing. Do you remember playing pool, pub pool comps back in the day? And if you got beaten without potting a ball, you had to drop your dacks and do a lap around the table. Or was that just that was
Yeah.
that was the pubs in Bathurst that I grew up playing there. If you got beat with 7 balls, you got called, you got pantsed, and you got banned. Yeah. But apparently, what happens in Ballarat, Troy, and I don't know if you can confirm this. You might have played there. Something to do with pocket tens. If you win a hand with pocket tens, maybe Josh, if you played in the Ballarat pub poker scene, what happens there?
No, you're asking the wrong person for sure. Ask Troy.
Troy, I heard something funny happens if you win with pocket tens down in the Ballarat way. What happens?
Yeah, you got to get your tits out.
You got to get your this is like, you got to imagine. I'm playing the APL 600. Nice, it was a $200 buy-in or something. Friendly game, having chatter, and lovely little old lady sitting next to me goes, "I win a hand with pocket tens," and I'm pretty happy about it. She goes, "Well, you're lucky you didn't win with pocket tens down in Ballarat because you'd have to get your tits out." Oh, look at her. And anyway, I said, I'm going to confirm that because I know someone that lives in that area. And I said, Troy. And then they started talking about Troy. And they're actually big fans of you, Troy. They said you'd probably be a first-time nominee Hall of Famer if Yuchuka had a Hall of Fame. We agreed on that. You'd be up there for sure. Big fans of you. So shout out to Deb and Greg from that area. A lot of fun playing with them. And I love the pub poker. So maybe if you've got any other funny stories of stuff that happens at your local, let us know. Be good to hear from you. Just want to mention some upcoming series. We've got APL Sydney. They've got a big series at West HQ, Rudy Hill, 650K guaranteed series there. That's the debut of the new main event structure with a 450 dealer dealt buy-in. It's 150K guaranteed. They've changed it for their main event, but they do have the 180 Classic still. That's $180 self-dealt, 75K guarantee. And then there's the 200K guaranteed Jackstar, the $1,500, their big one, and 100K Centurion. So that's a huge series, 650K guarantee, as I said, second week of April, I believe. So make sure you check that out. There's the APT at Eaton's Hill. That's back up at Brisbane in Eaton's Hill venue again. 750K guarantee there, 250K Centurion. Guarantees galore up there. So make sure you get along up there. It's good to see them back at Eaton's Hill. I'm sure that'll be huge. There's the APO. That's at second week of April. That starts 14th of April, I believe. And they have 4 million guaranteed series there. So I think every pro in the country will be there. $1 million guarantee for their main event, 500K guarantee for their $350 buy-in. So that's going to be huge as well. And the biggest, most exciting thing, as you can see, I've changed up my patch. I'm not sure if anyone noticed my patch here.
I did.
I pulled out a patch from the 1K fantasy that we had. That was your toy. That was your team, Troy. That's the Lightning McLeans. Do you remember that?
I do. That was good fun.
How'd your team go?
Not great.
You actually had a pretty good team.
We
You're
had
pretty
a
excited
great
about your team. I remember you went to the auction, and pretty much everyone at the end of the auction thought they had the best team. And you guys had a stacked team. For whatever reason, you didn't win.
I
You're
think
going to
it
have
was
some
the points and the way that it was structured, but
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the APL Million, they did have 3 tiers, and a lot of points were awarded in the lower buy-ins in that one. The one that we're doing at the APO, Australian Poker Schedule, is running that. It's a 2K fantasy. The point system is relative to the prize pool. All the details are up on the website about that. That will be a lot of fun.
Poker is about skill, strategy, and sometimes just pure heart. But what if you could assemble the ultimate poker dream team? The 2K fantasy at this year's Australian Poker Open, in collaboration with the Australian Poker Schedule, is the ultimate poker draft. Create your team franchise, give it a name, draft your dream team at a live auction. Feel the rush whether you're on the felt or sweating it from the sidelines. Build your squad, outscore the competition, and stake your claim on Australia's ultimate fantasy prize. 2K Fantasy Australian Poker Open, April 16, Western Sydney.
I mean, a lot of people that weren't in the APO one, in the APL Million one, had a lot of FOMO when they missed out on that one, and they wanted to be involved. So this is their chance. It is a lot of fun. You go to live auction, you draft a team. You don't have to bring a group of players and all play. It's not about that. You have to draft a team. You're the team manager. You buy a franchise, you go to auction, and you bid for your team. You can bid for Troy. Are you going, Troy? Would you be a good buy? Are you playing everything?
I'll probably be there.
Well, there you go. Josh, how about you? You're going to the APO?
I think I'm going for a couple of the bigger events. So
okay. So maybe a smoky on there. I wouldn't pay big bucks for you, though, if you're not going to play the full series. But that's good, interesting stuff to know. I'm running the show, so I'd be a terrible pick even if I was playing everything. But yeah, it's all about that. So make sure you pick a team for that and get involved with that. That will be a lot of fun. The WPT, as I mentioned, that's currently running at the moment. The main event Prime Championship kicks off on Friday this week. They've got 3 flights, and then day 3 goes on the Tuesday. So that will be huge. Other than that, just want to sort of wrap up the show. Make sure you like the video that you're watching, subscribe to our channel if you can, leave us a comment. A few more people now have been leaving comments, and that's really good. We love seeing that. There was one more question, Cathy, which I just wanted to ask you, speaking of comments, and that was from Ben K. Hi, Catherine. I would like to know how you navigate and what are the rules around dealing in and playing a poker series. Thank you in advance. That was from Ben K.
Thank you, Ben. Look, it's actually pretty great. I would say the best example at the moment is APL, because their whole mantra of APL at the moment is travel, play, work. So basically, they want dealers to be able to travel all of Australia, which we do, to work and play. So while we're on the series, you know, we can request days off, we can request times that we want to play a certain game, and they're really flexible and quite allowing of that. You can see that most of my trophies have been from APL, because when I'm in a series, I'll find that one game or two games that I really want to play, and I just get to do that. Most of the other brands are just the same as well. It all depends on like, if we're really, really busy and can't get some time off, then obviously that's a little bit different. But yeah, most series are really good, and you just kind of request it, and it's not really, there's nothing too difficult about it. I know it's a bit different to overseas, because some of the overseas ones are, and especially casinos, if you work the casino, you can't play for the casino. But at the moment, there hasn't really been much of a difficulty, and I've won a trophy at nearly every series that I chosen to play at, so that's been pretty cool. APT, WPT, Illawarra, and APL. So it's been pretty easy to do that. Just a sweet flex.
I mean, it is a flex, because I mean, you spend most of your time dealing, right? You don't get to play that much. So when you do get to play, you capitalise. So it's good. It's good, and obviously means that dealing actually helps you play too. So you probably learn stuff. You learn a lot of stuff that people do, mistakes. You get to see that stuff. So that's pretty cool. All right. So obviously we're on social media. Make sure you like us and follow us on Facebook. Cathy is the official Cathy. Troy is 5Bet Bluff. Now, Josh, you do some coaching. So why don't you give yourself a bit of a shout out? Where do we find you? Where do people that are interested in poker coaching, what should they do?
Yeah, cool. Thanks for that, Craig. The easiest way to do it is just to contact me probably on Instagram. So JF Poker. I have a website as well, which is jfpokercoaching.com. Either of those two places you could book a session, but typically just direct via Instagram is normally the best way. So, yep, you'll find me on there under Josh Foster Poker.
Foster's coaching wasn't available. It was taken. All right.
Yeah, really popular.
A trademark.
That's good. That's good. Look, make sure you do get in contact with Josh if even you just want an introduction just to see what it's all about if you are interested in poker, or if you've got someone who's scared about coming to poker. And it's like anything, if you first time you go to a golf game or something, it wouldn't hurt to have someone help you out and show you the ropes. So Josh would be more than happy to do that. And all of us, in terms of just getting involved with poker, how you get involved. If you're interested in the game, reach out to us. We will reply to you. So on that note, I just wanted to thank everyone for watching. Thank you again, Cathy and Troy, and a big thank you to you, Josh, for coming on. It was a long, fun podcast, I think. So we'll see you all next time. Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Thank you.